Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know, I'm your humble host, the Yamin of Revolution, the truth they try to hide. This is our land. But before we get into that, y'all be sure to wipe y'all feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all.
Is one of Deion Sanders' sons to the right that you see with the headphones on, and this is Deion Sanders' ex-wife. Listen to this. Watch this.
You know, everybody outside of America knows who Black people really are in America, except Black people in America.
What are they?
They're Americans. They're the natural.
I said, what are they? Like, well, it's not me.
Exactly right.
You never told me what I am.
Yeah, you're the natural person of the land, which they entitled Indians at one point, but you're from the land.
So stop, bro. I'm so glad.
Fire.
Yeah, so this is his mother. Shiloh is his name, right? Okay, Shiloh and Pilar. Is that how you pronounce her name? Pilar? I'm hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Pilar. So Pilar is how you pronounce it. Okay, yeah, I ain't want to be wrong. So she said it herself. In some cases, some of y'all may be wondering, why doesn't this get passed down the way that it should? But in some cases, it depends on who it was. In some cases, I'm not calling her an elder, but some of the elders who are older than her will hold that in for a very long time. Based off of their past, what they went through, it could have been something that made them reserved, where they don't want to share that information. In other cases, the elders were held against their will. They were threatened for representing their indigenous heritage, especially between the early 1900s all the way to the 1940s. And I know that for a fact because how my grandfather explained it to me as to the reason why certain things weren't passed down. Not all stories were passed down, but once it got to him, you know, and those people got older, you know, and they started sharing it with granddad, then it made complete sense. But see, like, I wasn't told right away, just like other people weren't told right away. Just like Shiloh, wasn't told right away. So we can't knock her for just saying it, for saying it right now at this very moment. But I think that needs to be a part of the code that we live by, that we have to teach our children who they are. We have to, because what we're up against are many entities that are out there creating the narrative for our children, teaching them that we came from a totally different landmass when we didn't. We were always here. We are the original people of this landmass, or some may call aboriginal, primitive. Some may say primitive, autonomous, and then it will say, am I missing anything? Indigenous as well. So, I mean, they're going to have different descriptive names for it, but no matter how you put it, we are the indigenous people of this landmass. And I'm talking about way more indigenous than the ones that you see who are a mixed breed of Asians. I'm not trying to say that all of them are intruders, but I would say about 90% of them are. About 90% of them are not indigenous to this landmass. We did have plain Indians, but it wasn't that many. The majority of the tribes were carrying variations of the color brown as far as their skin complexion is concerned. And this dates back to even the old paintings that you would see from the 1600s, the 1500s, and the 1400s all over the world, a representation of the native, so-called native people. And I don't like that term because that could be lashed on to anybody, but the indigenous people of this landmass. I mean, the world verifies us. We need to verify ourselves. That's another reason why you're seeing a lot of hate, because some of these foreigners come over here and feel like they could disrespect you because what they see the government is doing to you. They feel like they fall right in line. Aha, we got something over y'all. We came over this country and we succeeded. Meanwhile, it's the government helping them out. We got to call it out for what it is. The government is giving them a handout. Still to this very day, we were asking the government to, hey, let's make this right. Look, if it wasn't for us, it would be no y'all. We helped you build the foundation of America. Now you owe us. Now you need to give back, okay? Whether if that was reparations or whatever, we could go down the list. Like we were even saying, hey, give us loans so we could build up our communities, take our communities out of poverty, the ones that are poverty stricken. Not all of them are. Keep that in mind. Not all of them are. Now all of our people are living in poverty. Okay. Now, when we go back further in the past, a lot of our people were middle class and a lot of our people were above. But that was at the time that our people were the biggest capitalists of this society, even after slavery. Okay, I'm talking about right after it. Right after when they said they so-called abolished slavery, 1863, 1865, our people were prospering immediately, because it wasn't just us as slaves. You need to get that through your thick ass skull. Stop running with the narrative like, we were the only slaves and we were not. That's a lie. That's another lie that they created. All they were trying to do was subtract from us so they could add to themselves. See, in order for that to happen, they had to manipulate your mindset into thinking that what they got wasn't yours. And it was the entire time. So that's why they implement things, whether if it was social media, however you want to look at it. Let's just say, for example, let's go back to the curriculum inside of the schools. Compulsory public education. They implement that to dumb the minds of the masses of our people. Dumb it down. They kept subtracting. They kept taking away everything, top to bottom. And people be like, well, damn, how come y'all don't know y'all language no more? We do bits and pieces of it. We still speaking it. Keep in mind, we the trendsetters. Everybody copying us now. Not only are they cosplaying as us all over the world, they copying the way that we speak, our dialects, the ones that they want to say urban dialects, stuff like that. This has been around before the vernacular was created. English vernacular, this and blah, 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 ebony vernacular. They made all this shit up recently. Brand spanking new. This stuff been around before these fools got here. We were speaking our own tongues. We were speaking in code through our tongues. We went over that before too. We're going to bring that back up in the new documentaries that's getting ready to come out. I can't wait. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm about to teach y'all again. Straight up. I went hard these 10 years, and I'm about to go hard another 10 more. Be on the lookout for that. Everything that gets put out as a doc coming out as a book. Just know that. And you could cross-reference me. I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it. Come on, let's go.
Everybody outside of America knows who Black people really are in America, except Black people in America.
What are they?
They're Americans. They're the natural.
I said, what are they? Like, well, it's not me.
Exactly right.
You never told me what I am.
Yeah, you're the natural person of the land, which they entitled Indians at one point, but you're from the land.
So
not black as in the color black. There's no nationality like that.
There's no nationality. Listen, I'm talking about that black part don't exist. That's the reason why I disagree with that hashtag FBA. That ain't got nothing to do with us historically. That's just another misnomer. Just like Black American, Afro-American, African-American, Negro, colored, Creole, Oriental. Look at how many labels they put on us that they created. Oh, and our people eventually agreed to it. We calling each other an N-word freely right now. And we know in the past that was used as a derogatory term. It always carried a negative connotation to it. Why are we using it? The same reason why we're using the term black right now. And that stuff started in the 1960s. The blackity, black was promoted actually in the 1960s. And that worked against us. They took away the Black Panthers. The only thing that they let us keep actually in the 1970s, actually 10 years after, was Congressional Black Caucus. The NAACP said colored. But a lot of people know that I was supposed to say certain. National Association for the Advancement of Certain People. They pick and choose who they want to help. All of a sudden, right now, they want to pop up and drop their name on the Nolan Wells case. We're like, what that's supposed to do? Same thing with Congressional Black Caucus. They put their name on and put out a statement where we're supporting the lawyers behind the Nolan Wells family. I turned my nose up big time. I said, oh, no, they never did this before. That's how I know something wrong with this. I was like, nope, no, I'm through with it. It was bad enough they had Al Sharpton. And I was on Ben Crump. And then as soon as I seen the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP get in there, I said, nope, you playing games. You playing political games now. Y'all are not adding no pressure to them folks out there in Mississippi. The officials out there in Mississippi, y'all ain't adding no pressure. And then what y'all gonna do? March? Go down there, let's march, y'all. Let's march. Like that's gonna change anything. Mississippi been Mississippi since Mississippi. And you think they about to change just because you screaming and yelling? And see, that's the part that I'm tired of. We keep allowing it. The reason why is because we really not doing nothing about it. Not really. Like we tried the political route, y'all. How many more years are we going to continue to try the political route? Like they actually going to help us? You know better than that by now. This is the reason why I'm glad that this generation right here, whether if you older or younger, this part right here, this let me not even say generation, this era, hold on, my DC accent coming out. This era, I'm going to try to speak, you know what I'm saying, Slim? But look, this era is the one that's going to cause the changes to happen, force them to happen. It's this one right here.
You know, everybody outside of America knows who Black people really are in America, except Black people in America.
What are they?
They're Americans. They're the natural.
I said, what are they? Like, well, it's not me. What
Exactly
right. You never told me what I am.
Yeah, you're the natural person of the land, which they entitled Indians at one point, but you're from the land.
So
not black as in the color black. There's no nationality like that.
If you're Caribbean or African, I hope you know you're not Black. Man, y'all check this shit out, man.
Black Americans to understand that we're not a different people. We are the same group of people. I see all the time online, people are constantly reminding me that I'm Haitian. Absolutely, I got Haiti tatted on my neck. I love that I'm Haitian, but I also want to remind you that I'm no different from you. They're doing the same thing to you that they're doing to me. We are no different in the
here. Haitians, Jamaicans, everyone else is against the Black American. Like they had no part. But I'm like, we're all Black. So if it happens to one, it's happening to us.
Listen, that way of thinking is not allowing our people to delineate from y'all people. Keep in mind, you said Haitians, you said Jamaicans. We can't carry on the Black term as if we're all in one, because that's not how it works. Your struggle, not our struggle. Okay? Y'all coming over here getting put up under a totally different tax bracket. I'm not saying that y'all don't have to work hard. Some of y'all got to work hard, okay, in order to get to where y'all at. But at the same time, it's still being treated different. Y'all still being treated differently from our people. You got to understand how America works. Y'all were able to achieve the American dream. Some of our people are, as long as they keep a low profile, or if they go out there and start cooning, you know what I'm saying? Whatever American dream they're going to say they're going to get is what they're going to get, right? But it shouldn't be all about money. It shouldn't be. It's about generational wealth. And our people are not accustomed to that. See, y'all come over here and start getting these jobs and send that money back to y'all's family so y'all can what? Carry on generational wealth. It's harder for our people out here, and this is our land. But that was done by design. Okay, now I understand. There's going to be some of the Jamaicans and the Haitians that support us. I agree. Look, support us. We going to support you. But we have to delineate each other from each other. Like y'all Haitians, y'all Jamaicans, y'all this, y'all that, y'all this, y'all that, and we are the indigenous people of America. Okay? It shouldn't be no issue with that. Now, as far as the Black part, y'all go ahead and argue with that. I'm done arguing with that. I told y'all what that was about. We're not supposed to be linked up under one racial social construct that they created. I don't agree with that. I won't ever agree with that. Okay?
It's going to go around.
My question is, why everybody want to be Black when there's a crisis or a problem? I think a lot of immigrants forget that you chose this racism. Technically, you signed up for this. You left these islands and countries that were majority melanated to come into this country that's majority white. And just like how y'all chose to leave your islands and countries, you also choose when you want to be Black. When you want to be included with Black American.
Yeah, they use the Black term when it's convenient for them. I agree. And the whites don't outweigh us or don't outnumber us. A lot of the people who are considered white by the U.S. Census carry the same skin complexion as you and I. They inflated the numbers. Those people are dying faster than they can be born. We outnumber them right now.
You say that you're Black, but when you want to exclude yourself from Black Americans, you say you're Haitian, Jamaican, Nigerian, Somalian. Whenever it's time for y'all to let us know that you're different, you let us know. Whether it's Haitian Flag Day down in South Florida or Jamaican Parade Day in NY. In America, the term Black is not only a race, it's an ethnicity. And to be grouped in with people in America, you have to identify with their ethnicity, not their race. So just because we have the same skin complexion, don't mean we're of the same group and share the same agenda. See, Black Americans have no choice but to be Black all the time as the race and ethnicity. There's no copping out. most immigrants or people of immigrant lineage only want to be black when it benefits them or to get proximity to our culture. Don't believe me? Take a flight to Africa and go out to Nigeria and tell them that you're black. Nobody gonna give a fuck. Or go to Haiti and tell everybody that you're black. Nobody cares. Or Jamaica. The only place in the world where being black actually means something is in America. And that word belongs to black Americans. Anyways, y'all boys, y'all know what it is, man. Stay up top so nobody can get above you.
As I learned so much, I don't think a lot of people realize that blood quantum is a tool used by the government.
Behind me, there are over 100.
Yes, the blood quantum tool. Blood quantum is a tool used by the government. That is absolutely correct.
They've been unjustly kicked out of the tribe that operates Chukchansi Gold Resort and Casino here in Corsko. They say the tribal leaders have kicked out hundreds of people to maximize the casino's profits for themselves.
This is wrong. Hurts my heart, hurts my soul.
I had an opportunity to watch the film You're No Indian. There are literally thousands of tribal members, community members who have been denied their citizenship.
Tribal leadership claimed that hundreds of members do not belong, saying that the ancestral link tying them to the tribe was fraudulent. That fight has been going on for a decade, but today in Bellingham, several of those members face eviction and are fighting to stop it.
This is easily one of the most important films I've seen in a long time.
Why should they care about this? This is everybody's problem. You know, we like to talk about Every Child Matters, MMIW, food sovereignty, land back, epidemics within our communities, but no one's discussing disenrollment.
Yeah, I am disenrolled.
By disenrolling this, then you're no Indian. By your own people. Our ancestors fought so hard to keep us together. They're hurting more than I am.
Birdman, thank you for the 37 months.
Go on, try to do what I do. That's my way of life.
OCO, free thinkers.
I make you think, I make you think.
So smart, and you got your degrees, and you know every goddamn thing, then why aren't you guys getting up here discussing the 1924 Racial Integrity Act? I told y'all to leave me the fuck alone. Y'all wanted to push, so let's motherfucking press these motherfucking pipes.
Okay.
And surprisingly, this document or this bill was passed the same year that you guys were able to call yourselves Native American.
Yep.
I broke this down in 2 parts. Yes, we're reading the entire thing. Buckle your seatbelts. And I'm finna give you hoes a little deal. You might as well go ahead and call Bonnet Boss. Senate Bill 219 to preserve racial integrity passed the House in 1924 of March 8th. And it's now a law of the state. Oh, I can't wait to jump into the gold. This bill aims at correcting a condition which only the more thoughtful people of Virginia know the existence of. It is estimated that there are in the state of from 10,000 to 20,000, possibly more, near white people who are known to possess an intermixture of colored blood.
Y'all know this already. Some of y'all do. If y'all been following the channel, y'all know about this. But now let the sister cook, though.
More near white people who are known to possess an intermixture of colored blood. Now, before I finish, I need all of y'all Native Americans to drop that meme that y'all have been passing around of the, the identity crisis of the Negro. Y'all go ahead and drop that before I finish. Because y'all know we were classified several times, but y'all don't believe us.
Reclassified.
In some cases, to a slight extent, it is true, but still enough to prevent them from being white. Oh. In the past, it has been possible for these people to declare themselves as white or even to have the court so declare them. They have demanded the admittance of their children into the white schools and in not a few cases have intermarried with white people. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that the only intermarried that we had to worry about was the Cherokees and the Europeans. I didn't know that the coloreds and the Negroes had that to worry about as well. I mean, maybe in 1924, because that's after the slavery was abolished, right? Let's keep going. They exist as distinct colonies holding themselves aloof from Negroes. So y'all didn't believe us when we said that our terms were interchangeable. But I just proved to you that we got colored and now we got Negro. Let's keep going. But not being admitted by the white people as of their race. Y'all ready? In any large gathering or school of colored people, there goes that word again, especially in the cities, many will be observed who are scarcely distinguishable as colored. These persons, however, are not white in reality, nor by the new definitions of this law. That a white person is with one with no trace of the blood of another race, except that a person with 1/16 of the American Indian. So if this document was to prevent Caucasian people or colored people who could pass as Caucasian from passing as Caucasian, then why are they called American Indian?
Yep. Now it says Russell. I'm sure her name not Russell. Oh, you said her name is who? Her name is Diamond Princess. Shout out to Diamond Princess. It's very good. Fire. That's very true. But the more and more we keep repeating these things that's going to hit home for our people, the more they're going to understand they've been lied to about their history. Yes, you have been misclassified and reclassified over and over and over and over. And it's always going to lead back to you being the American Indian, a.k.a. the indigenous people, already plural, of this landmass. It won't ever fail. I'm back with more history for y'all. The school books would never.
Asking me to ask you, where did your parents say they was from? Like, did they say that they was Africans or what?
Indian.
They was Indians.
Blackfoot. My grandmother was a little better than Blackfoot.
Wait, stop, bruh.
Or what?
And then they don't want us to ask our grandparents nothing because they know what's going to come out their mouth. That's why.
On TikTok, they kept on asking me to ask you, where did your parents say they was from? Like, did they say that they was Africans or what?
Indian.
They was Indians.
Blackfoot. My grandmother was a little better than Blackfoot. My daddy was a Blackfoot too.
Yeah, I know. I did our genealogy. They definitely. Some people was registered, but the folks who didn't get registered, they just called them niggas. Negroes.
Yeah, nigga, colored folk. I'm colored niggas. All them. They couldn't say nigga. They niggers.
Okay. Yeah.
Shit, did they have their own land back then?
Yeah.
Good question.
Don't you remember you ever read that thing about out in Oklahoma, all these black people had their own child?
I heard about that. They bombed it or some shit.
Tore it down. Killed a lot of them, man. They killed a lot of them.
Talking about the wars.
Our family always had their own thing going on. They always had gardens and farms.
See, we didn't get hungry because we could raise everything we had to eat. Everything you see in the store, we could raise it.
Listen.
We got hungry.
That's good. That's super good.
You go to the doctor, you got a colored waiting room and a white waiting room.
Oh, man. Did they have any black doctors back then?
No.
they ain't never cared too much about what your health was.
No, well, not even give a damn.
So when segregation finally ended, did y'all feel safer a little bit?
Hell yeah. Yes, sir.
They still got sundown towns, don't they?
Oh,
they
yeah.
got sundown towns.
I can tell you that. Georgia definitely still got some sundown. Kentucky, too. Kentucky really got.
I remember you couldn't go in Redden, Ohio. After dark. I remember, yeah, you couldn't go over in Redden after dark.
Damn.
And when I first got here, they were trying to they didn't want to let black people in the sunshine swimming pool out there out there. I said, damn, you mean tell me they act like that up here?
Wait a minute, type 13 if y'all can hear the elder. Y'all. See, I like how this gentleman here is allowing the elder to speak out and get it out because he's going through. I understand some things is going to be trauma-filled, drama-filled, but he allowing the elder to get it out bit by bit. I mean, he from the South somewhere, and I hope some of y'all can understand his accent because I could clearly understand what the elder is saying because, the majority of my family is from the South. But if you can't, just try to look at this when I click this up and put it back out. What's this brother's name? I'm going to need it because I'm going to shout him out and his elder. Yeah, the elder is cooking. They're going to be cooking. They walking libraries. Even Granddaddy ain't like me to say that. But Granddaddy, you got to understand, I'm not playing, Granddad. Y'all was walking libraries. You walking, they know what's up. His name is Tez. His name is Tez. I shout out to Tez. I appreciate that too, Blue. I appreciate that. Yeah, and shout out to your elder, Tez. I'm glad you still got him around. I wish him more and more, an abundance of wealth and abundance of positive health, you know what I mean, for him and his family. And that will include you. Yeah, the elders are tired. They're getting it out. Let the elders get it out, though. It's a little loud. That's why you see one of my headphones moved over. It's peaking in a way, like something in the background. One of them crickets or something is peaking, but I can hear them. Yeah, that right there.
The north you go, the better.
You can tell they in the South.
It butt up here just about from the South.
Oh, let me go back.
They say the further north you go, the better it is, though.
Yeah, that way it butt up here just about from the South. Because they were leaving. It's New York, Detroit, all of them. All of them was leaving.
Well, I'm glad y'all made it out alive.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Made it to see all of this.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, that's okay if your elders are gone. That's okay. You don't got to beat yourself up about that. You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, your elders may be gone from in the physical, but they still there spiritual. They will lead you into the right direction so you can know the truth about what happened to your family. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let that stop you. You are still capable of learning about your family's history by doing genealogy. And I don't mean by way of a DNA genealogy test. I'm not talking about that. We're only talking about a paper trail. And if you were to do a DNA genealogy test, then make sure that you did the paper trail first so you can see that it's linking up. Otherwise, don't just run with the easiest thing that you could grab for $250. Don't do it like that. Okay? If you're going to do it right and exact. Yeah, it's crickets in the background. It's high pitch. They're in the South.
Dang. So that means your mother, who's my great-great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother, she had 15 kids or 14 kids, and you had 14 siblings. So that's at least 140. That's at least 100 plus different backgrounds of black people growing up down here. That's all Native. That's really Indian, or what we call indigenous people. People that
did those kids get raised up down south, or did they come up here?
Some of them got raised down south. Most of them was up here. And when one started coming, they one by one, they better believe down there.
You was the youngest, you was the very youngest. So
so he's actually talking to two people.
Living siblings.
Yeah.
So he was the youngest of the siblings.
And hundreds of nieces and nephews.
90-something.
You got way more than 90 now. You probably got 90 first generation nieces and nephews.
Like big.
So, yeah, when we say 90,
we all know that. Big mama, granddad and them, great granddad, great grandma, all of them had 9 or more children. Never fails. And look at this day and age. It got smaller, but we still do have big families. Like I have 5 children. Like I'm not sure how many children y'all got. Y'all can say it in the chat of how many children y'all got, but the tradition is still there. How we multiply. That's how you know we outnumber them. It's only 47 million African Americans or only 53 million African Americans. They lying about that number. They lying. We outnumbered them a long time ago, y'all. You got 2, you got 2 more coming. You got 4, you got 2 more coming. You got 2, 2 more coming. 2 more coming. 2, 5 more coming. You got 5, you good. 6, you good. 17, you lying. 3, you got 2 more coming, huh? I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all. I'm gonna put it on you right there. Y'all about to have more churn. Don't start telling me your age. Look at everybody lying. Talking about some 2. That's all right. Everybody that got 2 children about to have 3 more. 1, you about to have 4 more. Go ahead, Miss Erica. Yeah, and then I put you on the spot. None, 0. So y'all don't want to have no offsprings? Blue, you ain't finished. Y'all get it twisted. Just because y'all may be 40, 50, 60, that don't mean that y'all got to stop having children. Y'all can keep going. Go ahead. Your father got 10. Papa was a rolling stone. Your father, my fault. I probably told the truth, but I'm just saying. But nah, I'm just playing. You got 5 girls and 1 boy. I mean, at least you tried it till you got your boy. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit out there that got all girls and they got no boys. Woo! And if that's you, I love you to death, brother. You could try again. Here's a hint. You got to drink a little bit of Hennessy. Let me keep going.
He's talking about just the immediate kids of his siblings, not the grandkids and great grandkids and things.
I'm just playing. Don't drink no Hennessy. Blame it on me that you ain't had no. You had a whole nother girl, okay? Don't blame it on me.
You know, when I was 16, I just had got my driver's license.
Maybe if you treat her right for that 1 year, maybe you get a boy. Let me stop. I'm starting the shit now. Let me stop.
My older brother, he was hard-headed.
Hold on. His brother hard-headed. Let me go back.
Nieces and nephews. He's talking about just the immediate kids of his siblings, not the grandkids and great grandkids and things.
You know,
stop, Chad.
When I was 16, I just had got my driver's license. My older brother, he was hard-headed. I was taking him to another little town called Woodbury. So the police pulled us over. You know, when they pull you over, what's your name? I give them a license. They had to tell me he wouldn't say a damn word, man. They like to beat him to death. I said, tell them your name, man. They told me, shut up. And the motherfucking police said, shut up. Man, they beat him so bad they just quit. Damn. And then I had to turn around, take him back and show him to my mom. She just stood there and cried.
Now, you could just imagine that it was worse for them back then. Ain't no body cameras, ain't no cell phones. Them little racist people that was with the KKK that ended up becoming police officers was doing whatever they wanted to do, especially if it was some folk that ain't had no pistol on them. Now, some of our people carried the pistol on them and dared the police to jump. You know what I'm saying? And dared neighborhoods to jump. We was protecting each other. Don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to say that we wasn't fighting back, because a lot of them mofos got killed. Don't get it twisted. A lot of our people was packing. They had the strap on them, locked and loaded, and was not hesitating, you know. Instead of fighting and killing each other, what if y'all start putting 2 to 2 together, what I just said, reading in between that line, and start reminding them folk out there that you ain't to be played with? I bet they start backing off then. Just ask Carmelo Anthony. And I ain't talking about the basketball player.
Still wouldn't tell them the name. I tried to tell it to her. Shut up. Yeah, he was hard. He was hard, man. Yes, sir.
OCO Freethinkers.
I make you think. Wait, not Nelly. Wait, is her name Nelly? It's probably gonna say it at the end.
African, along with thousands and thousands of others, does something to you to make you get up here and start talking out the side of your necks and run to these podcasts to try to put together these think pieces to try to connect us to the continent of Africa and then band together or come together with other demographics to try to debunk our family history. That sounds more like a personal problem to me because I'm still going to sleep great at night. What y'all doing is feeding into the main character syndrome that you claim we have. Y'all are literally making us the main characters. When y'all ask a Jamaican what they are and they say Jamaican, y'all don't get up here and be like, oh no, you're African. You're African Jamaican because your ancestors were brought over here as slaves because in the 1600s, y'all making us the main characters. If me saying the words black and indigenous at the same time is causing y'all to crash out under my comments, y'all need to relax because there's always going to be facts or feelings over here. And let's just play it by your timeline. Let's play it by your narrative that we all was stolen from Africa, that the colonizers came over and magically stole us, even though we are the most physically athletic, dominant people on this planet, dominant in every single sport there is. And the historical fact that we built this continent from the ground up, right? The reason why I'm bringing that up because the African Union said the reason why they couldn't build the African continent up because the colonizers stole their best builders and engineers and the best of the best. What you gotta think, those same people should still be over there. If it was all stolen from Africa, those same people should still be over there to help build the continent up today, no? Or is that too much critical thinking for y'all? Anyway, let's just play it by y'all timeline and y'all narrative that we all was stolen from Africa. Even then, we've been here for over 400 years. That's 4 centuries, decades, to the point where we created our own unique culture, entirely unique to this continent. Our innovations, architecture, agriculture, inventions that laid the very foundation of this country that we built, that every other demographic is standing on today, in the civil rights movement to make it possible for every other demographic to come over to this country today. This is quite literally our land. We've been here before the United States even came into existence.
Yeah.
Do you understand? My whole point is, at what point does a population meet the criteria to become its own distinct group in a continent? Continuous presence, cultural continuity, distinct language. And let's just go with the African theory that every single human being traces back to Africa. Do the Asians call themselves African?
I said this.
Europeans call themselves European African. They all have their own distinct identity, like we do. We are the only people on this planet to be called by 2 continents, African American. And
Go back.
African, they all have their own distinct identity, like we do. We are the only people on this planet to be called by 2 continents.
Yeah, so this Miss Nelly, yeah. I didn't play a few of her videos before in the past. What up, Nelly?
African American. And let me just bring this up because y'all like to say, you're gonna go with your narrative that we always taken from Africa, and y'all like to say, well, we wasn't just stolen, they sold y'all. Your own people sold y'all. If we wasn't going for that over here, because we was unalive in our slave masters, there's hundreds of documented slave revolts and rebellions, and that's not including the wars to the point where we literally freed ourselves. If we wasn't going for that over here, what makes
61 documented wars in the 1800s?
y'all think that we was going for that across the ocean? Especially if that was our homeland and we had home field advantage. Or is that still too much critical thinking for y'all? They said millions were taken, and then we got over here, we was enslaved. So I'm just gonna put it this way. Not once did Africa be like, let's go get our people, let's go hope freedom.
Not one time.
No rescue missions, no
Nope.
mobilization from that continent.
Look, think of the war. What about the wars? They stole 12.5 million from Africa. So what war took place in Africa for that to happen? What was these great wars that took place between Africans and so-called Caucasians? Y'all act like these niggas had multiple people that look like Thanos and Dr. Doom, and they had the Avengers or something. Y'all giving these people too much credit. Not one time did you hear about a war that took place in Africa where Caucasians beat that ass and was able to capture 12.5 million Africans and enslave them and take them to a totally different landmass by boat. And not one African decided to pick up one stick and hit him in the back of their neck. There's the intruder. He's dead now. They didn't try that? Not one time. We pick up our arrows and we fight with honor. We go fight with honor. We do not care if it's the white man, the black man, the red man, We fight with Anna. No African war. They can't name one, y'all. They can't name one African war. That's in correlation to the slave trade. So-called transatlantic slave trade. And I told you it was the Middle Passage. That ain't got nothing to do with Africa. All right.
Armies were being sent. No retaliations were being attempted. No demands were being made to help get our kin.
Right.
So I'm sorry this needs to be said, but why would we want to be called anything other than American? Y'all want us to be African so bad, so we're going to go with y'all narrative and believe that millions and millions were taken from Africa. So if a homeland abandons its people for 400 years, why would anyone willingly want to take on the label of a continent that either couldn't or wouldn't stand up for them? So I'm going to say this clearly, and I'm going to say this again for the people in the back. I am not African. And if that just did something to you to ruffle your feathers, that sounds more like a you problem.
Shout out to Miss Nelly. Y'all mad now, huh? Let's go.
$1 million map I showed y'all that depicted black people as being the indigenous.
I know they did not raise the price up on this map, bruh. No, they didn't. No, they did not raise the price up on this map, bruh. We ended stream. I'm about to end the stream, bruh. This map is not $1 million.
People or the origine or aborigine of America. I want us to revisit this real quick because it's something that I see.
Oh my God. Remember when I pointed out this map and I said the reason why you saw two circles is because they were looking through binoculars, but they were looking up at the sky, not across. They were looking up at the sky to show the reflection that beams down through binoculars. This is the reason why you don't see these kinds of maps anymore. And you mean to tell me they done made this $1 million? No, they didn't. Chat, no, they didn't. Robin, thank you for the super chat. You said, yeah, believe it or not, Africans won the wars. We got to believe that Africans won the wars. What was the name of the war, y'all? Who fought who in Africa? Who fought who in Africa? Who did it? For real, come on, y'all. Come on. They love to name these wars. Tell me the name of the war in Africa. If it was more than one or if it was just one, I dare you. Show me. Tell me what war took place in Africa. Look. The people that were to push the Pan-African movement and stuff like that, the blackity black people using Chat GPT and Google right now, waiting for the answer. Watch. And all Chat GPT, they tell you. All they doing is pulling from Google. You might as well just use Google if you, like you think Chat GPT better? And you still gonna get it wrong. Come on now. Y'all said Black Panther. Stop, y'all. Stop, bruh. Don't do them like that. Come on.
That I want y'all to see. So I'm going to just zoom in on the map and show y'all. If y'all see anything, y'all let me know what y'all see. Y'all may see
the question. Thank you for the 40 months.
Go ahead and point it out and let me know if y'all see anything in the comments. But it's something specifically I want y'all to see. But before I show y'all that, I'm just going to guide through it real quick. Just for y'all who didn't see the original video, this is basically $1 million map. It's not.
Oh my God.
For this.
Oh my God, bruh. They done made this thing $1 million. They going hard like that. 71.5 by 55.5. That's not large enough for $1 million. $1 million? That thing better take up half of my house. I want to see that map stretch from my living room all the way to my front door. What is you talking about? $1 million? Ricardo, thank you for the super chat. He said if they won the wars, why are they running over here? Because we won the wars over here. All right, let me stop. Because we did though. The white folks got us to think. Y'all want me to calm down. People asking me Dang, can you calm down? You yelling too much. All right, hold on, y'all. Let me calm down and speak into my documentary voice that they may recall. Notice how this one was published in 1671, right? $950,000 is how much it's worth. Stock number 93614. They got maps, they got paintings, depictions, they got all that. And you mean to tell me that you can't find one trace of a war that allowed for who won the war? Who were they? Tell me the captain's name. Tell me the lieutenant name. Tell me the sergeant name. Who were the commanders of these platoons? Who were the commanders of these troops? Tell me some details. Then tell me the name of the war. Then tell me where it was located. Then tell me what year it happened. Then tell me how many people died. Then tell me where their caskets at. Then tell me where the graveyard at. They're gonna get stuck. They lied to us about the transatlantic slave trade. Lied to us. We were already here. The wars that took place happened here. And we were helping foreigners fight other foreigners and indigenous people in order for the lands to be divided up for them. These were not no big, giant kings of rulership and, you know, a great, massive amount, a mammoth amount of men in an army somewhere coming over here by way of boat to come take over America. Are you kidding me? You know how many bow and arrows would have been hitting them before they even reached the shore? And who's to say that we ain't even have our boats lined up on shore, turning the cannon up, pointing at their boat? Then the cannon hit their boat, then their boat go. Who's to say we ain't had that? Oh, we too dumb to have boats. We can build up castles. We can build up mounds. We can build up our own transportation system, but we can't build boats and add our own cannons to it. When we had blacksmiths, we had gunsmiths, we had gunpowder, we had minerals, we had coal. What was in the mountains? Not just gold. Think about it. Where you think they learned this shit from? Europe? I dare you to show me where they learned this at in Europe. Because if you look at their actual history, all of them were poor. All of them were orphans. The majority of them were poor. The majority of them were orphans. The majority of their communities were poverty-stricken. They didn't take baths. They didn't know how. They didn't know about architecture. They didn't know about building up castles. I'm talking about the beautiful castles. That they coming over here to hire people that specialize in that field and then pay them to come over there and put that up. We're talking about our folks that had the minerals and versus their folks that ain't had none. They ain't, so how were they able to take it from us? Right up under our noses. They got friendly with us. Some of our ancestors helped them. They couldn't do that on their own. This is a totally different landmass. They ain't know how to grow nothing out here. Totally different environment. How you think they survived? Come on now. That's critical thinking. Before I even get into any documentation, make it make sense. And they led you to believe that they were able to go through some war in Africa. They never told you who was involved. And they were able to pack our people up under slave ships that never existed. There were cargo ships that actually came later. But you're going to say that they packed us like sardines, put us in chains and shackles, packed us like sardines up under that boat. And the stench alone allowed for them people to survive. Fans didn't exist then. A ventilation system wasn't built for that filthy air to escape. People had to get up, use the bathroom. People needed a drink of water to survive. You mean to tell me that you much rather transport slaves who are not able or capable of doing any job that you would want them to do 3 months across the Atlantic? I'm talking about that's from there back 3 months, and they were able to survive. Treacherous weather conditions, the climate changing. No, bruh. They didn't even survive that. You know how many of them foreigners that was coming over here to die? It still happened. Those people that be wanting to come across the border, you think they not dying? Some of them survive, some of them don't. This is real. And cargo ships still take them same routes still to this very day. And you can look it up. And you can actually see how many people they could carry on the same cargo ships. And you lied to us and told us that it was 12.5 million that was captured and enslaved between the 1600s and the 1800s. And those boats wasn't even mass produced. It take them a long ass time to build a cargo ship. All right.
It depicts all 4 continents. And we're going to dive back into America, just so y'all can be sure that this is America. Y'all see it? And let's just get closer in. So we zoomed in some more. So let's go up here. You see the name America. It got the description about what's going on right there. Now let's go up to the top. Y'all see that? That's showing the indigenous people. And on the other ones with the continents, they show it. Y'all see the hat people.
It's online.
Colonizers. There goes some more.
That's how you're able to show them out. You go to the same, you go to the same website that had it up for sale. It's usually going to linger around after a while, especially if it hasn't been sold. Even after it gets sold, sometimes it'll still linger around. You got to hurry up and grab it, though. I'm pretty sure he downloaded it by now. Robert, thank you for the super chat. You said, fact of the matter is Africans chased the colonizers away and indigenous Americans did not. And then you woke up. You had an amazing dream, Robin. And then you woke up and was like, what? That wasn't real? Of course not. Still to this very day, Robin, you ain't gonna be able to name a war that took place where Africans did anything to white folk. Let's continue.
And I want y'all to stick around with me because I'm going to show y'all something specific. We're going to go back on this side.
Right, he left Black Panther on and thought that was real. Meanwhile, we got Wakanda over here in America. I'm just saying. Fire. Look at that image right there. He don't look like no African to me, do he? He look like an African to y'all? Type 13 if he look like an indigenous American. Uh-oh.
Now it's another side to it. Now something on this side I really wanted y'all to see. So anybody who has stuck around, I want y'all to see this. This is still the map of America. This is the other half of it, the right-hand side. So let me zoom out so y'all can see it, but I want y'all to see something. And when I came and revisited the map.
I agree. People need to start making them headdresses again. People need to start, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Why not?
I seen this and it kind of just blew my mind. So let's see what's going on this side. We're going to start closer up here. Now, I want y'all to notice the indigenous people. And this is allegory for the continent. So they're showing you they're melanated people. Y'all see that? Look at them.
Y'all looking right?
All right.
Shout out to this brother right here. I hope his TikTok or Instagram pop up at the end.
They look like some lizard people. But colonizer, y'all see the hat people. But this is what we came to see. Y'all see this? Look at this picture and y'all tell me what y'all get out of this. I'll go back to here what I was saying. Y'all see that? Y'all see the man? He being crushed. Dogs, they sicking the dogs on him. And that's documented even when you get to the southeastern United States, how they were sicking dogs on the Indians. And that's in the 1500s. Then remember in the 1960s, they were still sicking dogs on us. But this is what we really came for y'all to see. Y'all see the indigenous man there? Y'all see he being crushed and all his riches and jewels is wrapped around his neck and the dogs is being sicked on him by the colonizers. But we're going to go back to this. Now, he's holding it up, but he is being held captive. And that's some type of allegory. I don't know if that's him or his brother, man, is showing, but it's showing you what they came over here and what they came over here for. But look what they're giving him while he's captive. Y'all see that? Do y'all see that? I want to focus in. Y'all comment in the chat and y'all tell me what y'all think this means. Well, obviously, we know what it means, anybody, but just y'all interpretation of this. I mean, clearly it tell you what's going on, what's also enslaving you, and what they brought. But it also telling you the reason that they came here. This is the reason they have reclassified you to Negroes, blacks, and colors. And when I say the whole island, I mean, when I say the whole continent was a Negroid continent, I mean the whole continent. Because this say America, so it's signifying the whole continent. Even when you get in here inside this South America, you're going to see they fighting, warring. See still dark-skinned melanated people, they tell you. Another thing, what I told y'all about the Southeast, what we always tell y'all, La Florida. And I see this name a lot on maps, Tajil. Just to point that out. But the whole Southeast was called Florida. So when I joke with y'all, y'all know how people like to tussle and say that Florida, not the South, the whole South was once called Florida. And we talking about the Mayan world, or this is the Mayan world. So when I tell y'all we are the Mississippian Mayans, or this, we are the Mississippian Mayans. That's who we are. And we call this area up here Tamari, Tamaru, land of the plumed serpents. But this is all Mayan territory. And they just gonna limit it down to like down here to Yucatan. But up here we got a state called Alabama, and you got a site in Belize called Alabama right now today. So that's tell you the connection between these people and these people. But I just want to go back down here and just show y'all what we really had came for. I just wanted to show y'all this. I'm gonna zoom out again on this side, then we're gonna go back to the right side. Y'all see the people?
Yeah, I don't know who this brother is. I don't have the link to where he got this at. All of these videos was sent to me.
It's telling you what's going on, what they can.
That's why I'm hoping it'll say his name at the end of this video. But other than that, I don't know who this is.
We stood.
Y'all would have to tell me who this is.
Still today. It's just mental today. It's a mental warfare. But y'all see that? Let's go back over here.
$1 million for this painting. I mean, I say painting for the map. Is there a map of Africa for $1 million? You know, a map that'll tell us what wars took place in Africa for $1 million? I'll wait.
Hey yo, for you know what I'm saying, all the people.
It didn't say his name, but shout out to that brother though. He was cooking. Fire. Somebody going look. Later on down the line, if y'all see this video, or if I clip this up, I clip out parts or something like that, and probably be posted because of what happened in the beginning of the live stream the chat witnessed. I'm probably going to do that so I could double up on shouting these people out. If I still don't have the information, please get inside the comments and tell me who these people are. And I'll go find where that video is located on their page, or my mods or admins may even do that for me as well. And I'll have their links inside of the descriptions of the videos when I post.
Saying I'm cosplaying and all this bullshit.
OCO Freethinkers.
I make you think, yeah. I make you think, I make you think, yeah.
Pissed off because we know we're American Indian. They're crashing out. Other people are mad because we know that our ancestors are Hebrews. So we weren't just stolen from in one way. When it comes down to identity and heritage, but in two ways. Yeah. You know, and it's just making everyone real pissed off. Well, but let me tell you something. You know what makes me pissed off? My entire life, my identity and heritage was stolen. Yeah, that's what makes me real pissed off. So I don't give a damn about what y'all are talking about. If someone steals something from you, wouldn't that piss you off? I guess not. Because y'all crashing out.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is Ariel Jillian. So are Native Americans crashing out? Who are the American Indians? So we're going to look at some TikToks and dive right into this. Man, that intro was powerful. And she is right. Like, if you were stolen from, wouldn't you want what was stolen from you back? And in our case, it was our heritage. And not only American Indian, but our ancient ancestry, which was Hebrew. So we're going to get into these TikToks and I'll do some copying and do some commentary.
Like, niggas don't find that shit the least bit suspicious, that how niggas from all over the world can come to America. You got Africans, you got Indians, you got Native American, you got people that ain't even from, bro, people that literally is German, people that literally ain't even from here, that get more help than people that are from here. How does that make any sense? How am I trying to start a business, meal prep, whatever, I can't get no funding, but I can look down the street and see 10 Indian restaurants in the same pavilion? Like, that makes any sense. And then they kill me because niggas let motherfuckers immigrate here, and then you like, okay, well, they start off with an 850 credit score. They start off with ITINs with no bad remarks on it. So, nigga, I get condemned for making even the mistake in college. I made a mistake then 10 years ago, and I'm still fighting for the shit. Like, are you shitting? You have shut up. Like, I'm sick of it, bro. Like, bruh, like, explain it.
Yeah, there's definitely an issue with funding. Like, if you were labeled Black, like, I swear credit like goes against us. And then one, they don't even give us the same credit line as the immigrants, which is crazy. So we start off smaller anyways, and then we get knocked off like for the smallest little things. It's definitely
Before they went and covered it up, do you know what 23andMe said I was back in 2016? 100% Native American. So I love this. Y'all can keep writing me think pieces, but y'all can't cover up your tracks quick enough. You came from the cybers came from us. No one's denying that you have your own culture. We're just telling you where it came from. This is hard. This is very hard for many people who have been eating the lies, drinking the Kool-Aid for decades. But if you want to know why all this shit is happening right now, then you need to go back. You need to stop lying to yourselves. And you know what? Every time Black people are right about something, y'all call them angry or conspiracists. Stop following the white man's script. That'll help y'all out a lot.
Although it's not the last time, there's a fire inside of me. I wanna burn for you tonight. Save your soul tonight.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there and get on my soapbox for a second. Okay, so you cannot deny the Native Americans have a stake in America. They have been here longer than a lot of other immigrants. We can't deny that. Yes, they were here before the colonizers, but we can't also deny where they migrated from, which was Siberia. You know, and for Native Americans to deny that would be to deny them of their real heritage. Just like American Indians have an ancient heritage of being Hebrew Israelites. We can't deny where we come from. And the Hebrew Israelites were originals in America. So it's like we cannot deny where these come from. And that's all we're saying. We're not denying that Native Americans were here before a lot of other people. They were. But are they the original Americans of this land? No, there is a difference. And we're getting to the bottom of this difference.
There's a difference from American Indians and Native Americans. American Indians look like this. It was reclassified 100 times, not literally 100 times, but go look at the U.S. Census. We went from Black, Negro, Colored, American Indian. This is what they was calling us on paper. Because my ancestors didn't want to register as American Indian, and we wanted to stay Blackfoot, we wanted to stay Cherokee, we wanted to stay Gullah Geechee, whatever. Then you got to think about the same time the government is opening up civilized tribes, opening up Dawes Roll Acts. So what did these 5 civilized tribes do? They washed out the original tribes, bro. That's why they get the money to stay on the reservations. They get paid for duping us. Facts. Oh, reservation rights. Y'all was immigrants from somewhere else. Now y'all basically is like the immigrants that's coming here today getting benefits from the government. Like Venezuelans, they getting $8,000 and buying apartments in Chicago and starting gang wars and shit. Right? Now, we ain't even gonna talk about who the real immigrants is, right? And who these pilgrims was to say who indigenous to the land or not. I'm not saying Native Americans wasn't in America. Building mounds, building pyramids. It's way more pyramids in America and Asia than anywhere in Africa. And people want to try to tie us back to Africa and say Egypt. Oh, like somebody's in my comments like, oh, it doesn't have a pointy top. Bro, pointy tops ain't the only pyramids. You got to think about pyramids, a word that they use. The same people that built the pyramids, the same people that built the Tartarian structures. I'm not saying it happened at the same time, but it's towards that technology. And around the time the Egyptian pyramids was built, these mounds and these pyramids was built in Mexico. These mounds and pyramids was built in America, North America. I gotta specify that because everybody knows South America, but it's the invisible line. So they be like, oh, Mexico, South America, that's not y'all. Nigga, how? That's us too. What are you talking about, bro? So I ain't gonna go too deep on this video, but yeah, it's a difference between us because these folks that's Native American, right? First of all, they're tribal. Like they think like when we try to, we want to. No, we don't. We don't want to steal none of y'all shit. We taught y'all at Native American schools. We was forced to teach y'all. Some of our grandmas was teaching y'all, getting paid. They need to come out and start doing these. But the fact that all of our grandmas ties back to the land, they calling all our grandmothers liars. None of our grandmothers told us we from Africa. Obviously, and this is the thing too. If the message don't resonate, why the fuck do they stay here? That's how I be thinking they're agents. Because I'm not on nobody else's page looking for this shit. I'm telling y'all what I'm experiencing and giving it to the phone, right? But it's other people like, yo, I'm experiencing that too. I'm experiencing that too. You get all your information from Dane Calloway. It's like Dane is the only person that can go out here and do the research. He's one of the people that hipped us towards the information. Shout out UBTV. Shout out everybody. You got things like Noble Drew Ali. Like you got people who've been laying this shit on the land. Then you guys would let you know that we from the land too because there was so many out of Africa movements and there's so many movements to try to take us away from this shit. It was never we American movements ever. That was big propaganda. This was our fucking awakening. And they glitching. They fucking glitching. And a lot of them is tied to these belief systems too. So when you break down their belief system and you break down who they are, they glitch. But we got to come out that shit and it's time to speak the truth. We've been in America, bro. We're not from Africa. Sorry to tell you that, buddy. And for the Native Americans that's here, you're not originally from here. When you came here, we was already here too. But I'm pretty sure we coexisted. So it ain't like niggas trying to do a Black American versus Native American war because I'm pretty sure we was clicking up and fighting. And I'm pretty sure it was Black Americans fighting other Black Americans, so-called. We just using so-called terms right now to make it make sense. But yeah.
All right, racists.
I am not sure how to make this any clearer. There is no such thing as indigenous DNA.
Welcome back to class. Today we're going to discuss the federally recognized jokes that claim to be sovereign. I guess in their world you can belong to the government and be partial from it at the same time, which makes no sense whatsoever. It's no secret that Native Americans are in bed with the US government. Hell, they remind us daily. It's a badge of honor to be a bitch for white men. But the biggest joke of all is the fact that there has never been a Native American president. This country doesn't respect Native Eskimos, yet you all have the scars on your knees for this country. You claim to be the first on this land, but the first 7 presidents of this country were indigenous Black American men, which makes me wonder, is this why you try so hard to be toxic online? Is it because you don't exist in history before 1867? Because the minute Black Americans start doing deep dive genealogy, out come the insults. You call them pretendians, weibos, and you drop passive-aggressive memes for showing their genealogy. You're mad at Black Americans for showing their family tree? Why? Why does that make you all so mad? Is it because you're ashamed of being from Germany, Siberia, and Mexico? You're all immigrants, which makes sense because so is the US government. It's an immigrant-led corporation. You cannot claim to be outside of the system while actively participating in the system. You are all feds. That's why you all spiral like crackheads on social media, projecting your insecurities. When the administrative state collapses, the paperwork validating your false identity collapses right along with it. Meaning, when the US ceases to exist, so will you. Because you all depend on DNA testing, which is only proven to be assumptive and biased. If you really are who you say you are, then prove it with your ancestry. Until then, You're just angry pretendians with no identity, and you won't stop Black Americans from gaining their true identity. It's going to happen, no matter how any of you feel. So acting like children online is a waste of time. There's nothing you can do about it. Not even your fake Bureau of Indian Affairs that has only existed since 1824. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Was that powerful or what? Native Americans are feds. Now, of course, we know like they aren't trying to be feds, but think about it. Like they have the cards and they get money every single month from the government. A lot of them do. So when the government ceases to exist, what happens to all this that they're getting? You know, as American Indians, I don't think we should be looking to the government for reparations. It's time for us to, you know, make our own type of government, because they're never going to give us what we want. And that's okay, because they are immigrants, and it benefits them and other immigrants that come to here for their power. But really, no one's benefiting right now. Absolutely nobody. So it's best that we just get rid of the lies, come forward, and re-establish what we're going to do in America. Because even though they have these reservations, it's not moving forward. And we want everyone to succeed. That's what a real American would want, is for everyone to succeed, not just their own people and not just certain groups of people.
There was kind of an ethnic cleansing with a pen going on. And it was, if you did not have white skin, you were considered black. And a lot of times, I mean, even today, you go into the town halls and you see where people have actually written over the records, where it was put in that they were Indian, and someone went in and wrote black over it. And you can actually see in censuses from time to time where they may have been Indian in the first 3 censuses, and then the last 6 of their life, they're considered black. But you also notice something else on those censuses, that they were together here, and they're still together here. It hasn't mattered what people have decided to do, you know, how they wanted to do what they wanted to do. We've stuck together.
Afro-Indigenous people exist, and we're going to keep going over this. Afro-Indigenous people are here. They've always been here, and they're not going anywhere. Afro-Indigenous people, especially on this app, but in life also, are being treated worse than any other group of people by our people, which, by the way, Afro-Indigenous people, they're our relatives too. Don't let your traumas get in the way of mending bonds that were broken due to colonization. That's what the colonizers want you to do.
All a lie. Everything we've been taught in the American education system is all a lie. Yes, Native Americans weren't the original people of this land. We actually took it from Black people. We were so good at it that we just wiped out any trace of their language and their culture.
Because it's funny how the Blacks here, the original Indians, they got overthrown, right? They even put some of them into slavery and shit. Yet none of them now are getting any sort of land, getting any sort of, I guess, money. Dude, I live close to Temecula. Okay, basically, I'm out here in Southern California. I have a friend. This dude gets $10,000 a month. This Siberian man. Okay, and you gotta think like that's fucked. Like this is one of the biggest secrets in history, man. And if you don't believe that the original Negro here, okay, the Black Indian, look at the Olmecs.
I just want to have a little heart-to-heart with the Native Americans. Y'all, please understand that we are not trying to be y'all. we realize that Native Americans are totally different than American Indians. So I don't understand why you guys get upset when we say that we are American Indians, because I do know that it's offensive to call you guys Indians because you guys know that you are not Indian. Okay? Totally different people. Why is it all of this animosity for us finding our history, for us finding out who we are? We're not walking around here saying we're Native Americans. We know who y'all are. Y'all know who y'all are. So why get mad at us because we're finding out who we are? Is it something else to it? And we both know it is. But we're not trying to say that we're the same people. We're not walking around saying that we're Native Americans. We're saying we're American Indians, which is a thing that y'all for generations have said that you guys are not. And even in the books and the paperwork and all of that, it says who the American Indians are. And this is why it's offensive to y'all to call y'all that, because y'all know that the American Indians are the Negroes. Okay? So we're not trying to take y'all spot at all. Totally different tribe. Totally different people.
Native Americans, you asked for proof? Here's your proof.
To my fellow natives, I have a question. In today's political climate, do you feel the same way that I do? Like, genuinely, do you hear me on this? Do you have this weird feeling of where you just want to go home? You just, like, your spirit is telling you go home, wherever home is, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean when I say home. When do we get to go home?
Now comment below, bitches.
Man, get in here, get in here, get in here. This is the first time I'm going to add a video to bag up the claim to this. This is the first time I'm going to add a video is the claim to this to show you that the 1968 Indian Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment, Indian not taxed, is us. This is the first time I'm going to do this about to blow your mind. Now, before I show this video, pay attention to the room and watch how you don't see no Native Americans in the room. That's what I want you to do when I play this video. You're going to see who the Indians are, right? Who the Indians are, right? You're about to see. Play the video. Now, what you will notice that you don't see Jesse Jackson. You don't see Al Sharpton, right? You don't see none of these people. Look at the room. Where's the Native Americans? Where? Oh, that's us right there.
That's my granddaddy, my uncle, my father, my great-grandfather. That's what they look like. That's my people. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's watching, but this is what my people look like. And these are the Indian civil rights people who were going for that act before they dropped the word Indians.
That's us right there. Where's the Native Americans at? Where is the Native Americans at? Doing the signing. Where they at? Okay, you see Lyndon B. Johnson, right? He didn't want to sign the... Look at the background. You see us and the Europeans conqueror. Washington, D.C. That's who you see. You don't see no Native Americans. In one room. This is how the peace treaties were signed without Native Americans being involved. See that? Look, you see it? White and so-called black, which the Indians of the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Look at the Indians. Look at it. Where's the Native Americans, huh? Can you point them out? Where's Jason Jackson? Where is the NAACP that turned on us? Because a lot of these people work for the NAACP. They do. But where's the ones that turned on us to call us Negro? Dr. Martin Luther King was dead a week after this. I mean, before this. Look at that. That's the Indian chiefs. Look at that. That's the Indian chiefs right here. Where's the Native Americans at, huh? Show me where's the look. Where's the Native Americans at? They nowhere to be seen. And they talking about, oh, the 1968 Civil Rights Bill was for us. Look at that. Look at the bill right there. Look at the bill right there in your face. 14th Amendment, Indian not taxed. Look at that. Where's the Native Americans at, huh? Show me.
Of all ethnic groups, who can relate most to Native Indian oppression?
Black people.
Black people. That's a yeah.
Nigga, Negro, nigger, and the Confederate flag is ours. Y'all gonna crash out. They have played us in our face for so long that it's not even, like, you can't even fathom how deep this shit go. The Confederate flag was ours. They came over here, switched it, and cosplayed so that way we wouldn't remember that we were warriors. They're afraid of us remembering, which is why they had to take over the nigger word too, because they didn't want you to remember who you are. They didn't want you to remember that this is our shit, this is our land, our language, our words, our last name, our companies that they've came over and taken over by saying that you were a slave. The whole slave narrative benefited them because it allowed them to come over and say that they founded our businesses. You were sitting at your desk and somebody came in and said they founded it. Just like, so basically just think about somebody going into the grocery store and saying they founded the groceries. It's no different. The slavery narrative helped push that. The Confederate narrative helped push that. When they said the slavery was over, we were still fighting. We were still fighting. And then they lied and said that they were the Confederate. So it'll look like, yeah.
We are the American Indians. Part 2. Let it be known worldwide. Yes, we them people. Indigenous Americans. The high-tech trendsetters of the entire world. I'm the high-tech trendsetter. Newbie One.
So, in conclusion, yes, American Indians and Native Americans are two distinct people. Should Native Americans be crashing out? No. This is a chance for both of our groups to grow, right? Our ancestry goes farther than just our contact with colonizers, okay? And we can go back to the times where we actually got along together and lived side by side of each other. But just like when the Native Americans that we saw wanted to go back to Siberia, this is a chance for you guys to really dive deep into your ancestry and really trace your roots back home. Who wouldn't want to do that? You know, I think there's truth and there's growth here for both parties, and nobody should be crashing out, but this is a chance for all of us to learn and grow together. All right, this is RL Jalen. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next one.
Wealthy white families claiming Pocahontas ancestry were accepted as white, but actual Native Americans who had documented tribal connections and community ties were rejected and reclassified as Black or colored. So if your last name was on this list, your Native ancestry claim was not only rejected, your birth certificate was now changed from Indian to colored. He believed that the Native American tribes in Virginia had intermarried with Black people generations ago. Therefore, anyone who claimed to have Native American ancestry, he said, was actually mixed race Black trying to pass as Indian to get around segregation laws. This was his theory. He called them mongrels. He called them near whites sometimes. He said they were striving to pass, and he made a list. This is a real document. It's called Surnames by Counties and Cities of Mixed Negroid Virginia Families Striving to Pass as Indian or White. The state of Virginia started reclassifying these people as colored. Not Native American, colored. The onus is on you to prove that you're white. Which is, and I cannot stress this enough, that is impossible. It was impossible to prove this. Suddenly, these families had a big problem because the law said 1 drop of non-white blood makes you not white. So are the Randolphs not white now? Are Virginia's most powerful families about to be barred from marrying other white people? Are their kids going to be kicked out of the good schools? Are they going to be buried in colored cemeteries? No, of course not. That's why the Pocahontas exception exists. People want to say in the comments all the time, you Americans, you're obsessed with race. Why are you so obsessed? Dude, we're not obsessed with race. This is written into our history, and then it wasn't taught. I'm so serious about this. It's a hit list of family names. Oh, why are you guys so obsessed with race? Look at this freaking document. Hi, I'm Danielle Romero. Thank you so much for being with me here on my channel where we talk about American identity and family stories. And before we jump back into this video, if you'd like to join me over at Patreon, get off of YouTube. We can direct message, we can chat. It's patreon.com/NYTN. Or you could send me a coffee at coffee.com/NYTN13. Are you white? Legally white? Are you legally white? In 1924, the state of Virginia decided to settle this question once and for all because it is not a simple question and not a simple answer legally with a new law. And the law said if you had even 1 drop of Black blood, and we're talking 1 ancestor, at least 5 generations back, you were Black. Period. End of story. Unless you can prove that you were related to Pocahontas. Yes, the Pocahontas. Then you're fine. You're white. Carry on. I'm serious. Virginia wrote this exception into their racial purity law specifically for people who could trace their bloodline to a 12-year-old Powhatan girl from the 1600s. This is going to get real wild. It's going to get real wild. So before we keep going, let me know where you are watching this from. I'd love to know what state you're from or what country you're from and how many people we have from Virginia in particular, or maybe if you have Virginian ancestry. So this wasn't just a weird footnote that nobody was paying attention to. You know, sometimes laws get put into place and like they're just packed into other stuff and nobody knows. No. This exception destroyed families, but it also saved some families. It created an entire underground industry of genealogists who would, for the right price, discover that, yes, you definitely had the Pocahontas connection. Don't worry about it. And this also meant that in Virginia, your legal race could change overnight based on which story your family could prove. Today, we're going to talk about the Pocahontas exception, how it worked, who it protected, who it destroyed, and how DNA testing 80 years later, you know what happens if people start taking these tests, revealed that most of the people who used it were lying the whole time. Let's get into it. So, November 14th, 1924, small town in Virginia, Rockbridge County, up in the Shenandoah Valley, really pretty area. I've been to this area before. Mountains, farms, just like small town vibes, so nice. So a woman named Atha Sorrells walks into the county clerk's office. She's there to get a marriage license. She wants to marry a man named Robert Painter. Maybe they grew up together. Maybe their families knew each other. It's like a 5-minute process. You fill out the form, you pay the fee, boom, you're done. So the clerk's name is A.T. Shields. Shields looks at Atha's application Then he looks at her. Then he looks back at the application. He's like, no. Not like come back tomorrow or like I'm about to go to lunch. Just no, no. So Ava thinks there's been a mistake. Maybe she filled out the form wrong. Maybe she missed something. So she's looking it over and she's like, well, what's wrong? What did I miss? And A.T. Shields, the county clerk, tells her he has, quote, reason to believe that she's not of a pure white race. Like, let's let that sink in. This random county bureaucrat, this random clerk, decided based on something that Ava Sorrells was not white enough to marry a white man. So we don't know what that something was. Maybe someone in town gossiped about her family. Maybe there was a rumor that was floating around. You saw the last name. Or maybe Shields just did not like her appearance. Okay, maybe she got a little too much sun that day. The law did not require the clerk to explain that feeling. He didn't need evidence, actually. He didn't need to hold a hearing. He was just able to just say, no, denied. And if A.T. Shields could decide that you weren't pure white, your marriage to a white person would be illegal. I've covered this on my channel a lot last year. A ton of videos about this whole time in the United States. Not that long ago, only 101 years. Now, if A.T. Shields decided that you weren't white, then if you married a white person, not only was it illegal, it was felony illegal. You go to prison. So Ava's sitting there in this office, thought she's like bride to be, can't wait to get married, probably now in complete shock. And Shields slides a piece of paper across the desk to her. Okay. He says, you can appeal this. You can take me to court. She has 30 days. So Ava Sorrells hired a lawyer and she sued the county clerk. I have the actual petition to show you, and I can leave a link to it. Ava Sorrells versus A.T. Shields, clerk petition for mandamus, November 14th, 1924. So she's taking the small town government employee to court for just the right to get married. The right to get married. And to understand why this is happening, why she had to prove her racial purity to a county clerk, we have to talk about the laws that made this possible. So quick context. So I've done deep dives on Virginia's 1924 Racial Integrity Act before. I did them a year ago. I can link to those videos if you want that. But this is what you need to know right now for this story. Virginia's law said you couldn't marry a white person if you had any trace whatsoever, this is without a DNA test, of non-Caucasian blood. Not a significant amount, not a noticeable percentage, just any. So if you have one ancestor that goes back 6 generations, that is enough. That's the one drop, right? The clerk did not need to prove this, though. You had to prove that you didn't have it. Okay, the onus is on you to prove that you're white, which is, and I cannot stress this enough, that is impossible. It was impossible to prove this. You are asking someone to document every single ancestor going back 200, 300 years without the internet, maybe without even a means to travel across to the next town, to their library, their records, no DNA test, right? No internet forums, no hopping on Facebook to message someone. And you're going to prove that not one of your ancestors had a single drop of non-white blood. Think about this too. Like there were so many times where libraries would be burned to the ground. Courthouses get flooded. People didn't keep perfect genealogies, right? What are you supposed to do, right? This is an impossible situation. But that was your burden of proof. You had to prove a negative across centuries of history or you couldn't get married. Unless you qualified for the exception. There's always an exception, right? This case goes before Judge Henry W. Holt, Circuit Court of Rockbridge County, Virginia. Judge Holt, from what I can tell, is from he's a fairly typical Virginia judge in 1924, which means he's probably not going to be our hero here. And sure enough, he starts his ruling like this. Quote, I am in cordial sympathy with the general purpose of the statute. Whether it be based upon pride, prejudice, or instinct, we look upon ourselves as a sceptered race and stand for its preservation and all its integrity. Okay, racist, obviously, 1924 Virginia, like we're not shocked. But then he writes, but the statute in judgment goes far beyond anything that has heretofore been enacted. So translation here, he's like, actually, this law is insane even by our own standards. Then Judge Holt does something I genuinely did not expect when I was reading this document. He explains in detail why this law is unenforceable nonsense. So this is a direct quote. I could put this on here for you guys. I'll link to it. He said, quote, in 25 generations, so 25 generations of ancestors. So for you to your parents, that's one generation. So we're going really far back. One has 32 millions of grandfathers, not to speak of grandmothers, assuming there's no intermarriage. Half of the men who fought at Hastings were my grandfathers, he says. Some of them were probably hanged and some knighted. Who can tell? Certainly in some instances, there was an alien strain. I think he means like foreign strain. Beyond peradventure, I cannot prove that there was not. So here the judge is doing math. Okay. He's like, okay, there's like millions of ancestors going back this far. So if you go back 25 generations, you have a bazillion ancestors. And he's saying, I, Judge Henry W. Holt, sitting judge in Virginia, cannot prove that all of these ancestors were racially pure. Nobody can prove that. And then he writes this document, quote, Alice never got herself into a deeper tangle. So he's comparing Virginia's racial law to Alice in Wonderland. A sitting judge in 1924 just called the state's flagship racial purity law. Crazy, upside down world. But there's more. He doesn't strike down the law. He can't because he's a circuit court judge. He's not the Supreme Court. He doesn't have that authority. But what he does do is he points out an exception. The law says you can't have any trace of non-Caucasian blood except, and this is the text of the law, except if you have 1/16 or less the blood of American Indians. So Judge Holt looks at Eighth as evidence. She brought 130 years of family records. I don't know how this woman did it. Birth certificates, marriage license, family Bibles, whatever she brought, buried in there. And she says, actually, there is a small amount of Native American ancestry, but it's under 1/16. So she qualifies for the exception. Judge Holt writes, quote, the license should issue. She wins. She gets to marry Robert Painter. But here's what Judge Holt doesn't say in his ruling. Here's what he's not mentioning. Who is that exception really for? We have to rewind 300 years. 1607, Jamestown, Virginia, first permanent English settlement in North America. You know the story, right? Or at least the Disney version, that's wrong. John Smith, Pocahontas, Colors of the Wind, like that whole thing. I always loved that movie as a kid, at least the beginning part. The second part scared me. But the real story is actually way darker, way more complicated, way less musical. But that's not what we're here for today. What we're here for is what happened after that. So in 1614, Pocahontas, whose real name was Matoka, by the way, and people pronounce that differently, converted to Christianity. She took the name Rebecca, and she married an English tobacco planter named John Rolfe, not John Smith. I know it's very sad if you've only watched the Disney movie. It was John Rolfe. They had a son named Thomas Rolfe. Thomas survived into adulthood. He had kids whose kids had kids. Here we go. And by the 1800s, some of the wealthiest and most powerful families in Virginia were claiming to be descended from Pocahontas and John Rolfe. The Randolphs, the Bowlings, the Branches, the Lewises. These were the first families of Virginia. Old money, political power. These people ran the state. Every state has these families, right? And for 200 years, being descended from Pocahontas was a flex. This was exotic. It was romantic. It proved your family had been in Virginia since literally the beginning, right? So now you have a claim to this land. A claim, I'm putting in air quotes. It showed you had that frontier spirit. You're connected to the land, like you belong here. But then, March 1924, Virginia passes the Racial Integrity Act. Suddenly, these families had a big problem. Because the law said 1 drop of non-white blood makes you not white. And these families had been bragging about having Native American blood for 2 centuries. So are the Randolphs now?
Revolutionary salute to our brother James Ja L for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, soldiers. Salute.
White now? Are Virginia's most powerful families about to be barred from marrying other white people? Are their kids going to be kicked out of the good schools? Are they going to be buried in colored cemeteries? No, of course not. That's why the Pocahontas exception exists. The law was written with a specific carve out. If you had 1/16 or less Native American blood, 1/16 is not a lot. This was called the Pocahontas Clause. And yes, so this is what people literally called it. It was designed to protect these families, but it gets twisted, believe it or not. So because the first families of Virginia were having genealogists document their Pocahontas connection, and you better believe they had genealogists on the retainer, right? There were still Native American communities living in Virginia at the time. I'm not going to be able, I never say the names right, so please correct me. But the Monacan people, the Pamunkey, the Chickahominy, the Mattapony, these people, documented tribal ancestry, people whose family had been in Virginia for thousands of years, not 300, thousands, right? The state of Virginia started reclassifying these people as colored, not Native American, colored, like black. Same or more Native blood, now classified as a completely different legal race. People want to say in the comments all the time, you Americans, you're obsessed with race. Why are you so obsessed? Dude, we're not obsessed with race. This is written into our history, and then it wasn't taught. And so a lot of us, including me, we are kind of shining a light on stuff that's been hidden for 2 generations, 3 generations, and we're shocked, but not really, right? Now, why would these people be colored, not considered Native American? Well, because of one man, Walter Plecker. We did a video on him, actually a lot. So I'm not going to get too deep into it, but Walter Plecker ran Virginia's Bureau of Vital Statistics from 1912 to 1946, so right during this time. And he was in charge of every birth certificate. He was overseeing it, death certificate, marriage license, like he's doing all that stuff. And he had a theory. He believed that the Native American tribes in Virginia had intermarried with Black people generations ago. For anyone who claimed to have Native American ancestry, he said, was actually mixed race Black trying to pass as Indian to get around segregation laws. This was his theory. He called them mongrels. He called them near whites sometimes. He said they were striving to pass, and he made a list. So this is a real document that I've shared a bunch of times. It's called Surnames by Counties and Cities of Mixed Negroid Virginia Families Striving to Pass as Indian or White. I'm so serious about this. It's a hit list of family names. Oh, why are you guys so obsessed with race? Look at this freaking document. This is a real document. Now, maybe your family history was very different than mine, but my family at this time did fit in this list. They did fit in this list. And a lot of our history, a lot of our stories, even our last names were changed, lied about, not passed down to me. And I'm now, as a mother, trying to piece together as much as I can about my family story because of stuff like this. So like this has real world impact. And even if it didn't impact anyone who's alive today, do we just not study history because it doesn't impact the guy sitting next to me on the bus? Like, that would be ludicrous. But like, how much more should we study it if it's impacting the guy who's sitting next to me on the bus, right? So Plecker sent copies of this list to every county clerk, every school registrar, every hospital, every draft board in Virginia. So if your last name was on this list, your Native ancestry claim was not only rejected, your birth certificate was now changed from Indian to colored. And I know I'm going to get in trouble for this. If you've been on my channel for more than a year, you know that I've had demonetized videos, flagged videos from YouTube. Those are 2 different things. Also banned videos for using the word colored, because my great uncle, my Uncle Danny, who I've interviewed on here, his birth certificate says colored, and other family members too, and I've shared those documents on here. And you're not allowed to use that word. Apparently, it is as bad as the F word, according to YouTube. I'm for real. And, it just really burns me because I see such trash on YouTube. I see literally pornographic material sent to people. People are using that. Actually, just absolute trash. And I'm just like, here's a document from my family that says colored. And YouTube's like, nah, nah. And you can see here, like, not a lot has changed. So if your name was on this list, if your last name was on this list, you're roasted. Like, your marriage could be annulled. Your kids could be removed from their schools. You couldn't be treated at white hospitals. Like this, I did a video on the guy who was the head of the NAACP and the story of his father. He had been hit by a car and he had to be brought further away to a non-white hospital where he then passed away. because he was not able to be treated at this other hospital. I mean, this is all serious, serious consequences. So I want to be absolutely clear about what's happening here first. Wealthy white families claiming Pocahontas ancestry were accepted as white. But actual Native Americans who had documented tribal connections and community ties were rejected and reclassified as Black or colored. Possibly the same amount of Native blood, more Native blood, but completely different outcomes. So the Pocahontas exception was not protecting Native heritage. It was protecting specific families. And if you couldn't afford a genealogist to fight Walter Plecker, if you didn't have the documents, you were cooked. There's nothing you could do. So what do you do when your entire life, maybe your marriage, your kids' education, your job, where you can live, where you can be buried, depends on having the right kind of ancestry? You get creative. So between 1924 and 1967, I just have to pause there. My mom was born 1961. Okay, again, this is recent. A whole industry sprang up around the Racial Integrity Act. So genealogists who specialized in finding, or let's be honest, creating family trees that would satisfy Walter Plecker and his clerks. So now we're manipulating documents. Now, some of this was legitimate research. People would dig through Juarez records for you, go through the old family Bibles, letters, wills, trying to figure it out, but some of it was less legitimate. And so a lot of these genealogical records, though, from the 1600s, 1700s are kind of a mess because the British burned Richmond during the Revolutionary War, so records are gone. Then the Civil War happens, more records are gone. And sometimes the records that survived were just like not that great or they're flat out wrong, right? Because census takers in the 1800s would just guess. They look at you and they're like, okay, you're mulatto here, you're white here, you're Indian here, you're Black here. This has happened in my family over and over and over again. Like, not even a question. My great-grandmother was born in Louisiana, 1900. Her census, when she was 10, she was mulatto, but her parents were both censused as Black 10 years before she was born, and then later censused as white. And parts of that family have also been censused as colored or Indian. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, right? So which one's true? Well, whichever one the government needs to be true, right? The Pocahontas bloodline was already a mess. So you couldn't even say, well, I'm gonna take this exception. Because Thomas Rolfe, the son of Pocahontas and John Rolfe, had one daughter, Jane Rolfe. Jane married Robert Bowling. They had one son, John Bowling. Then he had 6 kids. That's it. 6 kids. I say that's it. 6 kids. That's a lot now, but it wasn't back then. But from those 6 kids, by the 1920s, there were hundreds of families descend from Pocahontas. That's a lot of people claiming a very narrow bloodline. And were they all telling the truth? Probably not, right? But who can check? How do we check this? Walter Plecker was too busy harassing all of the other families to audit every first family's genealogy. I say first family, the big important Virginia families. This is where the law becomes truly perverse, because the Pocahontas exception was supposed to be about blood quantum. Remember 1/16, about biology and percentages. It's like, how do you figure that out? In practice, it was just about paperwork. I've said this a bazillion times on my channel. American identity is paperwork. It's bureaucratic. That's what it is. And so if you had the right documents or you could create them, you were now white. The end, right? But if you didn't have them, you weren't. It's like so bizarre. It's so bizarre to me. So Ava Sorrells won her case because she did come up with 130 years of documentation and she could afford a lawyer, and most people couldn't do that. So some families had to make impossible choices. Maybe you moved to other states where the laws were different. My family certainly did that a bunch, or less enforced, or you changed your names. My family did that too. Some families cut ties with relatives who couldn't pass. Sadly, mine also did that. Just stopped talking to them. Pretended they didn't exist, started a new life, disappeared into whiteness, and never looked back. Literally, that is the reason I started this channel, looking for my family story. Finding Lola is my docuseries. It's a 4-part series, but I've also put a new version up that's just all 4 parts together. It's like an hour long. Going to Louisiana, trying to find my great-grandma Lola's story and who we really were. Some families disappeared into whiteness and never looked back. But some families did the opposite. They gave up trying to prove that they were white or Native American, and they disappeared into blackness because then at least they could stay together. This law stayed into effect till 1967. That's when Loving versus Virginia, I'm sure you know this court case, the Supreme Court case that legalized interracial marriage, finally struck down the Racial Integrity Act, but it did not end this. It did not end this. The damage had been done. Some families have been split for generations. Communities have been destroyed. People died not even knowing their family story. But then there's always more. In 2000, something happened that revealed just how absurd this whole thing had been. DNA testing. So in the early 2000s, genetic genealogy became accessible to the public. You could send in a cheek swab or spit in a vial, pay $100, and find out where your ancestors supposedly came from. And the researchers started testing people who claimed to descend from Pocahontas. The results, most of them did not have it. The bowling line, that narrow, well-documented line from Pocahontas and her great-grandchildren, turned out to be way less widespread than people had thought. So some families who had been rejected by Walter Plecker, who said they were lying about their Native heritage, who were reclassified as Black, turned out to be telling the truth. So by the time that the DNA testing came around, it was too late. So families have been separated, right? Communities are scattered. Maybe people lived out their whole life on the wrong side of a color line that was drawn based on paperwork that turned out to be false. Virginia did not apologize for the Racial Integrity Act until 2001. I was in high school when they apologized. Yeah, I'm that old. I'm turning 40 in a couple months. 2001. That's like 24 years ago, 25 years ago. Like, what? So some of the people who reclassified under that law are alive now. Their kids are alive. Their grandkids are growing up right now, like me here, dealing with family trees that do not make sense because someone 3 generations ago got kicked out or got ties cut just to survive. And the Pocahontas exception was not about protecting Native ancestry or heritage. It wasn't even about biology. It was about protecting people in power. Guess what? That's every law. Like, I am so politically done. Like, I do not trust anyone at this point. And I don't know how we could have in the first place. Just look at our history from just a little while ago. If you are wealthy and connected, you can claim Pocahontas and stay white, even if you didn't have the ancestry. It's not even about being white that's so important. It's that everything that came with that, right? The freedom to just choose your own adventure. But if you were poor and had no connections, your actual documented, maybe DNA now DNA confirmed ancestry, how would you be classified as Black or colored? Same blood, different story, different life. This was a sorting mechanism, a way to decide who got to keep their power and who got pushed out. And that's why I say in this channel a lot, I really don't think that this is a left-right issue. I don't think it's like a Democrat-Republican issue. This is not even a black-white issue. I'm going to tell you that. This is about the people who have all of the power and the money, very few of them, and the rest of us. Like, there's so much infighting going on right now, and we should be sticking together because they don't want us to see that dichotomy. All the primary documents I showed you today are linked in the description, and if I forgot to listen, please let me know. But this is public record. This is history. I guarantee you it's not in your history books. If you want to go deeper on the Racial Integrity Act and see some of the work I've done using primary sources on that, I got full videos on it. I'll leave that playlist at the end. Let me know what you think. Otherwise, we'll talk soon.
What if I told you?
What if I told you?
What if I told you
That there are a group of black Indians
that created the largest haven
in
the U.S. for escaped slaves?
In the 1700s. What if I told you?
What if I told you that there was a group of black Indians that led the largest slave revolt in U.S. history?
What if I told you that there were a group of blacks in the United States
that forced their own emancipation
before the Civil War?
What if I told you?
What if I told you that there were a group of black Indians
that led a mass exodus along the Trail of Tears and then right out of the United States?
What if I told you?
What if I told you?
What if I told you that this is the true story of the Black Seminoles, and you've likely never heard it before?
I never learned about them, and they were never in my history books.
This is a story about betrayal, distrust, backstabbing, and about a people that have been, for some reason, lost to history. This is about the Black Seminoles, the Black Indians,
and their long, remarkable journey to freedom.
Can't do this no more, Abigail. I won't.
What do you mean, Abraham? You're scaring me.
We've been slaves long enough now. I won't spend another day under the whip of these crackers.
Escape? Where can we go? You know they'll kill us. They'll kill us dead.
Florida. I heard them say it's free there. It's a chance, Abigail.
Florida? It's so far, Abraham, and it's dangerous.
I'll kill anybody that gets in our way. Staying here is death. We deserve better. You deserve better. We deserve a life free of these crackers.
Live free or die trying.
Live free, die trying.
Them, along with several other enslaved Africans, made their way down to Spanish Florida. They fought slavers, bounty hunters, and many were recaptured and lost their lives along the way. But finally, several made it to freedom, at least for a while, in the swamplands of Spanish Florida.
During the same time period, there were several civilized indigenous populations scattered across these lands.
The term civilized tribes was applied to the major Native American tribes that took the bad medicine of the white man. They were classified as civilized because they had adopted the attributes of European culture, becoming Christians, sending their children off to re-education institutions, market participation, intermarriage with white Americans, and,
wait for it,
chattel slavery practices, including the purchase of enslaved Africans. Little did they know that the cotton reservations that they had would become cotton plantations after they were stolen and seized by the same white people they were emulating.
Hey guys, sorry for the shaky video in advance, but we are on our way to a town called Mosquis, and this is another town here in Mexico. But this town is the closest town we could get to Nacimientos, which is the town that a tribe, actually the Seminoles from the USA, kind of came over here to seek refuge during times of slavery. They are warrior people. They are a fierce people. There are some survivors, and it's not a whole lot of them there. So we're hoping that we're able to make some contact.
We've been exploring stories made it here, and it's a variety of ways, but this community that we're going to is a completely different story and history of how they made it here.
So we're just praying for some favor as we go so we can show you guys, and so we can learn about the real deal here in Mexico and Black people and their migration here. So see y'all there.
Yes, my name is Wendy Goodlow. I am a Black Seminole, and more specifically, I'm a descendant of the Seminole Negro Indian Scouts, which were the group of men that joined the military and fought for the military in the U.S. from 1870 to 1914. So I grew up in Brackettville around that history.
We had not found out about the Black Underground Railroad that led into Mexico. We had never heard about that one.
Yeah, not many people have.
Mexico, but whoa, like, what you know about this Underground Railroad? What's going on? Black indigenous people moving to Mexico. What is this?
I know, it's It's a lot. That's what I always tell you. It's a lot of story. You know, the way that our elders began the story was that in the late 1600s, around 1680s into the early 1690s, there were what would become known as the Gullahs, but they were enslaved Africans living in the Low Country who took it upon themselves to seek their own freedom. So instead of going north, they went south into Florida because Florida at that time was a Spanish territory. So it was not part of the formation of the U.S. at that point. It was owned by the Spanish.
In 1687, 8 men, 2 women, and a nursing child escaped from Carolina to Spanish St. Augustine and requested baptism into the true faith. Florida's governor sheltered the runaways out of Christian obligation and refused to return them when an agent from Carolina came to reclaim them. The Slaves' Telegraph quickly reported this outcome, and soon other runaways began arriving in St. Augustine. Florida officials repeatedly solicited Spain for guidance, and finally, on November 7th, 1693, Charles II issued a royal proclamation,
giving liberty to all, the men as well as the women, so that by their example and by my liberty, others will do the same.
Fort Mose was established freedom seekers who were making their way down from the Carolinas, escaping slavery. If they made it down to Spanish Florida, they could live free.
And once they got there, they found that there were already people there who were living free. There were formerly enslaved Africans. There were free blacks who were living on the land.
At Nero's Town on the Swanee River. Here on the Apalachicola River, even before the one here at Prospect Bluff, you had a settlement near Ocheesee Bluff. They established a separate one where there were several hundred Maroon fighters. You had many, many settlements of free blacks all through Florida, particularly, late 1700s, early 1800s.
There were also Native Americans. At the same time that was happening, there was the group of Creeks who lived just north of Florida. And because of moral differences, they splintered into the Upper Creeks and Lower Creeks. And the Upper Creeks decided that they wanted to break away and go down into Florida to get away from the Lower Creeks who were taking on more European ways of life. And one of those was to begin chattel slavery. That's where the idea of the word Seminole comes from, is that some linguists believe that it is a Creek word or Muskogee word, and it's pronounced Shimonoli or Seminole. They believe it means runaway because these Creeks believed that part of their group was running away. And so it's also interesting that it fits for what would become the Black Seminoles because they were essentially running away as well. They formed their own villages, but were interacting with the Seminoles, so they would become known as the Black Seminoles.
The African and indigenous people lived and worked closely together. And in time, they came to view themselves as a part of the same loosely organized tribe, cultivating a mutual respect of each other's cultures. The Africans adopted a lot of the Indian garb, and the Indians adopted African agriculture, music, and folklore. And they lived this way for over 100 years, raising generations of children in freedom. As Florida continued to be a haven for Black freedom, this didn't set too well with antebellum Georgia. They shared a border, and contentions were high. At this point, there was a lot of retaliation going on. The U.S. military launched raids, tried to steal slaves, steal cattle, and encroach on this Spanish land.
The United States felt that the existence of this community served as something of a beacon of freedom for slaves from Georgia and the Carolinas, or even the Creek Nation, to slip away from bondage and come down here seeking freedom in Florida.
In the spring of 1818, the U.S. government launched their attack.
As soon as the U.S. military was dispatched at the orders of Andrew $20 Jackson, this marked the beginning of the First Seminole War.
The 1818 battle at Swanee is again recorded by the U.S. military. The people referred to as Black warriors held off the U.S. troops.
The Seminoles, known as the Red Sticks in that area, and the Black Seminoles held their ground and held up their contract with the Spanish to defend the border.
They ultimately fell back, and the village was destroyed. Fell back to was the Manitou River, Tampa Bay, Angola.
At the conclusion of the First Seminole War, the Spanish sold Florida to the Americans for $5 million. This drove the Seminoles and the Black Seminoles deeper into Central Florida, deeper into the Everglades. It was here that the two bands grew closer, and it was also here that birthed two legendary leaders, Osceola for the Seminoles and John Horse, aka Abraham, to lead the Black Seminoles.
So the First Seminole War began between 1860 and 1870 when General Andrew Jackson went in and started a war.
I read somewhere that he was trying to recapture black formerly enslaved. They weren't even formerly enslaved at this period. They were never even
They were
slaves,
generations removed. Yeah, they were generations
Yeah.
removed. And Andrew Jackson, he was the only president who ever ran on the idea of committing genocide. So he promised that he would wipe out, you know, all Native Americans and return formerly enslaved Africans to their owners.
Andrew $20 Jackson was POTUS number 7. This wealthy Tennessee enslaved, known to be the poor white man's champion, with a base known for their riots and lynching, a presidency full of scandal, he would be best known for his deep hatred of black people and Indians, promising to deal with the bank, restructure the government, and deal with the nagging Indian problem holding the country back.
The Indian problem. This was the name given to indigenous Americans just living their life on their land, but land that the colonial settlers wanted. They wanted to take their land, their joy, their happiness, but especially that land.
There's almost a mythology about this, that somehow when the Pilgrims arrived, they were dragging land behind them. There was no land brought here. The land here was Native nations. And this is what the United States needed. It's what it wanted. They wanted all of it. They wanted everything.
Between 1830 and 1850, about 100,000 Native Americans were evicted at gunpoint from their ancestral homelands. They were escorted by the United States military to designated Indian territory in present-day Oklahoma. The relocation, known as the Trail of Tears, was the result of genocidal legislation called the Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson. Hey, what's up, fam? We hope you guys are enjoying this video, and if you are, please consider sharing this video. We found so many lies and unearthed so many interesting things that we never knew, and we're hoping that you found some new things as well. We want to share it with the world. So sharing is caring, and if you guys care, share this thing so we can let the community know what's going on out here.
And if you'd like to see more content just like this, consider joining our Patreon, where you get a window seat into our travels and stories about the diaspora.
All right, y'all, back to the video. Share this thing.
So the First Seminole War happens, and then by 1838 is when the second one starts. So there is a span of about 20 years between. And within this time, the Seminoles and Black Seminoles have only gotten closer. The Black Seminoles are highly militarized. And so when the war does begin, they are out there on the front line, so much so that General Jessup says, you know, this is not an Indian war, this is a Negro war, because they were at the front lines.
General Jessup wasn't wrong. It was a black war. It was a Negro war. It was the largest Negro uprising the United States had ever seen. And it's in no history books anywhere. More than 300 enslaved individuals rose up against their plantations and came to join arms with the Black Seminoles to fight against the United States of America and for freedom.
After the defeat of the First Seminole War, Andrew Jackson went on to become president of the United States of America, and he signed the Indian Removal Act. And at his signing of this act, they knew that a war was coming, and they prepared accordingly.
John Horse and his compatriots gathered the troops together. They went around to the local plantations all throughout Florida, rallying up the enslaved and telling them that they can get their freedom, and they listened. At his call, they all came to fight against the United States government. They fought tooth and nail with everything that they had and launched a 7-year war that cost the United States government more than they had ever spent and more than they would spend ever until the Vietnam War. They caused more casualties and more damage than any other slave rebellion
in U.S. history. So why haven't you heard about it?
The reason that they fought so hard and were known for fighting was because for the Seminoles, they would just die. But for the Black Seminoles, they would be returned to slavery. So that was what they were fighting for and against. And so the thing was that they didn't just kill, they killed twice. You know, they wanted to make sure that their enemies were dead.
John Horse, being the excellent strategist and leader that he was, told the United States government that he would lay down his arms if and only if they would give them papers of emancipation for each and every one of his soldiers. And they agreed to this. So they put down their arms, and the Black Seminoles began their trek on the Trail of Tears, headed to modern-day Oklahoma. They lost lives as well, but I believe their disposition was a bit different from the other indigenous people that were on that trail. I believe that these Africans were looking forward to getting to that reserved place in modern-day Oklahoma. I believe they saw it as a new start and a new life that awaited them. But when they got there, they found old demons. They found broken promises. And they found that Uncle Sam is the same dirty uncle that he's always been.
But of course, everything changed by the time they got to Oklahoma.
This reservation wasn't their happily ever after, nor was it the end of their story. At this reservation, the U.S. Attorney General, Nathan Clifford, announced that the U.S. government didn't even have the authority to grant their freedom in the first place. In other words, their emancipation was essentially revoked.
Y'all, we have made it out here to the remotest of the remote.
We are in El Nacimiento de los Negros.
Now, out here, these people are the people that never bow down. You guys, their history dates way back, from North Carolina down to Florida, from Florida to Oklahoma, and from Oklahoma walked all the way into Mexico, a 6-month hike.
And made it here to freedom in 1850.
The story goes a little something like this.
But for the Black Seminoles, they were threatened with being captured and returned to slavery because it was outlawed territory. And so there were slave catchers there who
anyone with African features were being kidnapped and sold off in the night.
So pretty quickly, John Horse started looking for a way out.
A group of Black Seminoles led by the Wildcats, who was like the chief of the Seminoles, and John Horse, who was essentially the chief of the Black Seminoles, made their way down to Mexico. Mexico had abolished slavery, and it was a dream of both John Horse and Wildcat to make it to freedom, to make it here to Mexico. They got here in 1850 and settled in this town in the state of Coahuila called El Nacimiento de los Negros.
My name is Torralba Harrington. I was born in Nacimiento, Coahuila, Mexico, Comunidad Negros Mascogos, and I migrated to the United States when I was about 7 years old.
When they made it to Mexico, it was the land of milk and honey. They were greeted with open arms because Mexico had a problem. They had raiding parties. The Comanche and Apache tribes were raiding all along that Mexican border. Also, the Americans were encroaching, as they do, all along that border. So Mexico received them with open arms, as they did for every Black self-emancipating individual. But for these people, they gave arms, they gave weapons and land in the state of Coahuila, in a little city called Nacimiento. The Black Seminoles that settled in Mexico, particularly the ones that settled here in Nacimiento, were granted certain rights back in the 1850s for a particular set of reasons. They received land, they received supports from the government, and they received autonomy, which allowed them the ability to govern their own communities, have their own type of laws, as long as they assured the government that they would protect the border. At that time, the Apache tribes and Comanche tribes were raiding all along the border, and the United States was pretty much encroaching in the area, trying to get more and more land. And these guys settled here and ruthlessly defended the border. There are many recorded exploits of them chasing down Apache, Comanche, Americans, Texas Rangers. Their reputation did not even compare to what they really were. In fact, they defended that border so fiercely that after the Emancipation Proclamation, the United States military came knocking.
In 1870, the United States Army sent a message to the Black Seminoles chief, John Horse, inviting him to enlist with them to become Indian Scouts and help them fight the hostile Native Americans. They accepted because they were promised repatriation, but they also believed that they would be granted land, food, provisions, and reimbursements for traveling costs. But there's one thing about promises made to the Black Seminoles from the U.S. government. Not a single one was ever kept.
You know, the amazing thing to me is that Mexico is really the only country or government that honored their promise. So out of the British, the Spanish, the Americans, the Mexicans were the only ones.
Despite this, the Black Seminoles fought fiercely alongside the Buffalo Soldiers, and not a single member of the Black Seminole Indian Scouts was killed or seriously injured despite all of their fights with hostile Native Americans. They never failed a mission, and several members received the highest honor in the military. After their services were no longer needed, they were kicked off the fort from which they had served and eventually settled in Bracketville, Texas. So walking around the streets of El Nacimiento de los Negros, it's a very small community, a very tight-knit community and very quiet, but walking through the streets, you see the signs of their history.
It's just really cool being here. This area it's Afro. This area is distinctively different. Again, we had to travel a long way from a very small town just to get here. It's remote, and you know why it's remote. Have you been back lately at all?
Yes, I go back every Juneteenth because of our Juneteenth celebration there. It is different. I was very surprised when I found out that we actually celebrate Juneteenth down there. When I started learning all the history, I was like, well, why do we celebrate it? You know, if our people freed themselves, you know, they liberated themselves. Right. It was that important to them. They decided to have that celebration. You know, we've always known that celebration as El Baile de los Negros, El Día del Negro, o El 19. So
it's a day of honor. That's beautiful. Yeah. So it's in solidarity almost. It's
yes, like exactly. I also have a Casa de la Cultura there, and I'm wearing my shirt today.
Oh, I love it.
And so I go back for that a lot too, and other projects that I'm working on there.
I never knew about any Black Seminoles coming over to Mexico. I never knew about it until maybe last year.
So our history starts in Africa. Our people were the people that would rather die than be enslaved. To just tell, you know, everything that our people did, because I just want those kids to know who our people were, the warriors that they were brave, what they did. I want them to know what kind of people are their people, they come from.
So many people believe it was only one way, and that's not the way, that's not even the real way it was. We didn't just sit down and take it. We didn't just come over here and say, okay, we're just gonna be slaves. Yep, that's what we'll do,
yeah.
You know? No, not hardly. So that is the main reason I'm telling the story, so people can get the real information, the honest information.
Like we have people that we know that are getting involved, you know, especially here in the United States, just being Native, you know, we're Native, we're not Black.
Yep.
So what all I have to say is to those people is, okay, you know, that's your story. This is my story, you know. If you're just Native, then you're not part of the Black Seminoles. That's not something that I'm making up. We cannot tell our story and take away our Blackness, our Africanness, our Negro, you know, whatever it is that you want to call yourself, we cannot tell our story taking that away.
Throughout this video, we have been diving into the cultural heritage and influences of the Black Mascojos, or the Black Seminoles. And it's so interesting because it's this mix of like American indigenous, it's a mix of African, and now that they've been settled here in Mexico for a while, it's a mix of Mexican also. It's really interesting to dive into and reminded me of diving into my own culture and history. We recently took DNA tests with MyHeritage to kind of dive in and find out what we're made of. If you're interested in finding out your heritage and diving into your culture as well, check out MyHeritage. They are one of the top family history and DNA services out there, and it's a great way to know what you're made of.
Go figure. Follow me.